So this is Black History Month, a time when we honor the contributions of Black people to this country, a time when we honor our culture, our diversity, and how we've done our part to try to make this country a more perfect union. I was having a conversation a few weeks ago with someone that I consider a friend. And he asked me a question or made a comment, and it was, if you really want to know where somebody's head is at, ask them what they're reading. And we shared the books we're reading right now. And then after we hung up from our phone call, I felt the urge to reread Dr. King's book of speeches. And I was particularly drawn to his speech in Memphis, Tennessee on April 3rd, 1968, the night before he was assassinated. And he said in that speech, "America, we ask you to be true to what you put on paper." And I think about what that means in the world that we're living in right now, when Black people are still fighting for basic rights, the right to enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the right to a sound basic education, the right to decent housing and a clean environment, good jobs, how we're fighting to just protect the gains we made in 1964, 1965, with the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. Be true to what you put on paper. But then I also think about our LGBTQ community in general and our trans community in particular, and how they are just under assault from District 2 and the extremist parents that have basically performed a hostile takeover of that CEC. And we put out resolutions, but the regulation that would protect parents and students from that somehow suspended or not being enforced. Be true to what you put on paper. And for our Hispanic and Latino communities who are living in fear because they are being harassed and rounded up by ICE and deported in mass after we welcome them here with open arms. Be true to what you put on paper. Now, I know that we can do better. I've seen it. Years ago, we used to have a different kind of conversation when we talked about students with disabilities, our District 75 programs. And everybody was like, yeah, I got no problem with District 75 and all, just not in my school. But then over the years, after constant advocacy, after communities rising up and resisting together and saying that is unacceptable, that we have us a completely different kind of conversation now when we're talking about our District 75 families and our students with disabilities. Why? Because we decided to be true to what we put on paper. So I say all of this because we have an incredible opportunity to do right by our families, do right by our students, do right by our educators, by making sure that our young people have just a sound basic education, have a bus ride to and from school, and can walk into a building where they see themselves in the people teaching them and in the leadership of schools. Be true to what you put on paper. I see an opportunity to send a message that racism is unacceptable, that homophobia and transphobia are unacceptable, that our Hispanic and Latino brothers and sisters are welcome here. Like if this was any other country, like any other country where they don't have a constitution that says all men are created equal and endowed by their creators with certain inalienable rights, among those life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If this were any place else that didn't have that, I could understand. But this is America, where we hold those truths to be self-evident. All I'm asking, and all I believe the community is asking, is be true to what you put on paper. And if we can do that, then we honor Dr. King. It is not just lip service. If we do that, then we honor our communities and the beautiful people in them. If we do that, then we will have a more perfect union. So my message, using the words of Dr. King, be true to what you put on paper. Be willing to put it on paper. Be willing to defend it. And if we can do that and rise up together and support each other in that way, then we're going to be all right. So with that, I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to just share my thoughts on this Black History Month, and I yield back.